flattened him.
Mary Matalin?
So let's just sort through the politics here. If you're a liberal and you cheat on your wife, it's a private affair. If you're a conservative and you cheat on your wife, you're a hypocrite. Normal people, when the husband cheats on the wife does not consider the politics before she gives a response on this. Normal people out there did just what James just referenced. They looked at Mrs. Craig, and I remember looking at Lee Hart, and through the years, these poor, suffering families. The first thing normal people think are, this is a family tragedy. The second thing they think is, why is everybody in Washington glued to this? And don't you guys have something better to do? And thirdly, I didn't listen to the tape, I didn't watch any of this, but the people that I talked to who are not particularly Craig fans or critics said, that sounds like entrapment. Don't the cops have better things to do than tap dance in bathrooms in the airport? I'm just telling you, the normal person view.
But he pleaded guilty, Mary. He pleaded guilty. I mean, that killed him.
But my larger point is, I think this has no political legs, and I further think, to the extent we're discussing it in the political arena, I don't think the best strategy for Hillary Clinton is to attack the Republicans by defending her husband for a 10-year-old charge. She doesn't want to re-bring up those scandals. This week she also had the other Johnny Chung Redux scandal. So if I were you guys, I would just move ahead and not put Clinton and Craig in the same
Democrats they don't have an inch of anything to say about this. And they were very silent about it, to their political credit, because this sort of stuff is a sweater that if you pull the thread, it can be very troublesome.
I think trying to go back to the Democrats on this, and I saw Tom DeLay doing this, isn't going to do the Republicans any good. Republicans, I agree with you on this, Mary, they need to move beyond this. And I think actually the ultimate result of this is that Craig's list of social issues, bashing gays, going after a woman's right to choose, is going to have a lot less power in the 2008 election. I just think people are going to laugh if these wonderful family values candidates like Giuliani and Thompson get up there and start talking about these issues.
Yeah, but there's an ugliness in all this, too. I think Craig is an unsympathetic figure. But there has been this case of bloggers on the far left trying to expose closeted politicians if they don't fall completely into lockstep with a certain liberal gay agenda. And I think that's unfair. It's a form of McCarthyism, really.
Don't you think the ugliness was voting against the hate crimes bill, as Craig did, and then going into a men's bathroom and soliciting a police officer?
Of course that was ugly. But the point is there is a tendency to apply an identity politics test now, which has a real chilling effect on politics, that somebody's private life has, or their race or their gender, their orientation has to dictate where they stand politically. If you're a woman, you have to be a pro-choice Democrat. I mean, that calculation cheapens politics, and it's unfair to people in public life who do have private lives.
Mitt Romney, a man that you worked for when he ran for governor of Massachusetts, Mike Murphy, Larry Craig endorsed him, was a key component of his Idaho campaign, and Mitt Romney, on Tuesday, the day this all broke, went to the cameras and said this about Larry Craig.
Once again, we found people in Washington have not lived up to the level of respect and dignity that we would expect for somebody that gets elected to a position of high influence. Very disappointing. He's no longer associated with my campaign, as you can imagine. I think it reminds us of Mark Foley and Bill Clinton. I think it reminds us of the fact that people who are elected to public office continue to disappoint. And we've seen disappointment in the White House. We've seen it in the Senate. We've seen it in Congress. And frankly, it's disgusting.
He just threw him overboard.
Well, I think politically he had to get him out of the campaign, and I think it was disappointing what he did. I think Mitt's totally right to say that. There could have been a little more grace to the statement, just as somebody who's been around politics a long time, so maybe you throw him half a sentence, for his family or something like that. But I think the fundamental strategy of distancing himself is the only thing Mitt could have done. And
how about linking Larry Craig to Bill Clinton, James?
You know what? Just like Larry Craig and Mitt Romney, they can't help themselves. But again, I was shocked by when Larry Craig was on this program, what he said, and shocked by Mitt Romney. There's not an element of humanity in any of these guys. I mean, Mitt Romney could have said he was my chairman. He obviously did something wrong. I know this is a difficult time for his family. Nothing. I mean, this was the coldest, most antiseptic thing that you could possibly hear from a politician. And it was just like Larry Craig. He couldn't wait to get out there and pontificate and make a complete fool of himself. And, you know, one of the reasons that Democrats have been reluctant to put this out front, because we are smart enough to know that our party also consists of human beings. And, you know, when you have human beings, you're going to have this kind of behavior, be they Republican or Democrat. But what the Republicans do is they go and they pontificate and all this great Americanism and how people need to lead their life and everything. And I think the American public would just love if they would shut up about that and lead their lives themselves. That's what's going on here.
Who's saying that the Republicans are pontificating are Democrats who are completely obsessed with defining and demonizing Republicans. Of all the debates, and there's some every 3 days there's a debate, these candidates have been talking about national security issues, economic issues, energy issues. This is the demonizing Democratic definition of republicanism. And you know what? Normal people, that would be voters, are just sick of this. This is not a dispositive issue in this cycle where national security and economic issues and a global economy are.
Listen, Republicans demonized gay people for political purposes in 2004. Sure. Bush, when he was first asked about a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage, seemed to indicate he had no interest in it. Then somebody took him into a room and said, we can get something out of this. Let me finish, Murphy. Murphy, let me finish, because
just make this stuff up.
No, I didn't make it up.
At first,
he indicated at first he didn't have much interest in it. Then he went out and campaigned on it. But the point is, you demonized gay people, and I agree with you. By the way, we ought to get past identity politics. But not even you could have elected Larry Craig as an openly gay person in the state of Idaho, because there's a whole segment of the country that has decided that somehow their gay people are not legitimate. We need to include them in our society. We need to give them rights. We need to vote for hate crimes laws, not vote against them and then go into a bathroom.
But the argument I would quibble with you on is when you say the president demeans gay people because he doesn't support gay marriage. That's what the Democrats do. They turn a policy debate into a personal attack on a whole sector of the population. And I think that is the Democratic...
I just said hate crimes.
No, but you started out with gay marriage.
Why won't the president support a hate crimes bill?
The president's against hate crimes. You guys
why won't he support a bill to punish hate crimes?
It's a campaign trick where you construct legislation and then you say we're divisive because we won't support your version.
Let me move on.